Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Krishna. I'm programming manager at the Map Academy. Welcome to today's Map Academy Live. The Map Academy is an open access digital resource with a focus on art and cultural histories of South Asia. Our offerings include an encyclopedia of art, we have online courses, there's essays, stories, grants, and other special projects, including curatorial work. Through these, we encourage knowledge building and engagement with visual arts of the region. You can follow us on Instagram, you can sign up for our newsletters. They're all linked in the chat. This event is part of our Map Academy live program where we curate expert led talks at the intersection of art history, culture, research, and practice. And for today's MA Live, we have with us one of India's most known tattoo artists, Mo Naga. Mo is also an independent researcher, the founder of the tattoo studio Headhunters Inc. and the Tattoo Village in Manipur. He holds a degree in fashion design from NIFT Hyderabad and has also been featured among top 100 tattoo artists in the world in the World Atlas of Tattoo, a groundbreaking tattoo design book, Tattoo Masters Flash Collection, and on BBC World's pop-up series. His work has been exhibited internationally, including in the ongoing exhibition Nagaland Voices from Northeast India at the Humboldt Museum in Berlin. He's also a recent recipient of the Himalayan Fellowship by Fika and Royal Enfield. Today, Mo will be talking to us about Naga tattooing, his own research and practice spanning almost 20 years, and his current project, which is a tattoo garden in his tattoo village in Manipur. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping notes. Please keep your mics on mute and cameras off just so that we have a smooth experience. The talk will be followed by a Q&A. So if you have any questions for Mo, you can drop them in the chat during the talk and we'll open up the floor for discussion at the end. Also, at the Art and Photography Foundation, there are strict policies against harassment of all kinds. So just go through these points and keep them in mind as we proceed with the talk. Hope you enjoy the session, and over to you, Mo.
Thank you, everyone, whoever has tuned in. I'm Mo Naga. I'm from Manipur. I am currently in Bangalore traveling, tattooing. That's something I do these days. But before I go into the matter, I would like to first introduce myself, where I come from, and the work that I've been trying to do, the work that I'm doing, how it started, and where I am now. So when I was young, from a very young age, From a very young age, I was very sure that I would definitely do something in the field of art and design, not knowing exactly what. And as a young boy exploring the field of art and design, I enrolled myself in an IFT, studied fashion design, and this slide that you can see right here is a little bit from during my college time, just so that I can relate this later on to the work that I'm doing. So I studied fashion design, and towards the end of my college, I realized that it was not really fashion that I wanted to learn. What I really wanted to learn was design, and my love for art and design. I was able to understand while I was studying fashion design. I also started tattooing in 2004 during the first year of my college. And towards the end of my college, when I was researching about traditional Naga shawls and textiles, I came across a photo, something like this on the slide, you know. I was in a cyber cafe and doing my R&D for my final project. The project that I wanted to do was on the Naga culture, Naga textile, and as I was searching, a face of a Naga man came up uh, on the internet, and that took me totally by surprise because till that point, I had no idea that Naga people had rich tattoo tradition, and my curiosity about our tattoo culture started from there. And when I found that I was already tattooing for 3.5 years, which means I was aware about tattoo cultures from other parts of the world. And so, uh, right after my graduation, it was also the time of recession, 2008, and there were not much job available. And uh, I specialize in denims, and I got a job. I was placed in a in an international brand, and they wanted me to wait for a couple of months before I could start working on the design collection for denims. But I was impatient. I did not want to wait for that long, and that gave me. That is the point where I started going deep into my research about Naga tattoo, because at that point I was already tattooing and I was making some money, and the money that I was making was more than what the job was offering. So it made me question, why uh, why do I have to take up a job, and and and, uh, and the uncertainties of whether if I would be really designing denims or not. And at that point, I took a call and started going deeper in my research about the Naga tattoo culture. And somehow I happened to be doing that at the right time, because it was also around the time that museums and universities from Europe started making their archives accessible to the world through their digital archival. And I started studying that, and uh, it became a never-ending process because there were not many people who had recorded Naga tattoo. In fact, nobody ever studied about Naga tattoo uh, in the past, but uh, those people who traveled, anthropologists, historians, and soldiers who traveled across the Naga region, uh, maintain diaries and their journals, and I started going through all of that because tattoo is something that one cannot just overlook, because the tattoos of the Nagas are on their face and on their limbs where it is visible. And so many of them started noting down what they come across, and those were the kind of materials that I started uh, studying, which means I went through hundreds and hundreds of photos, scanning through the photos, because sometimes the person did not take a photo to document the tattoo, but for other reasons. And but those photos became my reference point. Their journal entries became my reference point. For the next 4 years, from 2008 to 2012, I was studying Naga tattoo theoretically. And 2012, it felt like I was ready to embark on a new journey of going physically and meeting the last elders uh, who can tell me more about our tattoo culture. That's how it started. And in this journey, I have been very lucky to have friends from my design school who understood the importance of the work that I was trying to do. I realized that without the understanding of these tattoos, it would be uh, the uh, the narrative, our culture, the expression of our culture would be incomplete. So in this journey, my friends have joined me. I made new friends on the way, and it's been an amazing journey so far. One second. How do I go back? How do I go back?
The small arrow to the left. Yes, yes, that one.
Okay. All right. So it has been a very enriching journey of my life. I did not know that I would pursue tattooing as a career. I started off as somebody who was curious to explore different mediums of art and design in college, and tattoo happened to be one. And the curiosity of how one can mark permanent uh, expression on human body was something that thrilled me. I took it upon as an exploration. Never thought I would continue doing this till now, you know. Uh, but uh, as I started studying, going deeper, meeting elders, it started opening up more and more. The way I travel and research, sometimes I sit with all the tattooed elders in village. We spend the whole day, have meal together, listen to them, learn from them, and sometimes it is not in group, sometimes it is in person. Uh, yeah, and this is a little photo of a collage of how the landscape of the village, the kind of villages that I travel to, uh, are in the remotest part of the country, to the eastern part of Nagaland, I would say, you know, and Arunachal and in Nagaland. So there are hardly good roads to take us there. 13, 14 years ago, when I went there, there were a lot of thatch roofs like this, which are slowly changing now. When I travel, the study that I do was not only tattoo, I study the natural environment, the insects, the animals, the architecture, the arts on the wall, the textiles, all of it, because all of these shapes our identity. These are our language. Every symbol, every marking that we see uh, in the village, on the house, on the body, tells something about us, like how we see in these photos. It took me many years from 2012 to uh, to reach here, but in 2015 I got the opportunity uh, to recreate some of our patterns and make it show it to the world. This is one of the designs page of design that I submitted for the two masters world collection, just to give you an idea of how Naga art, Naga tattoo looks like. The tattoos that we have many times, when we Google, when we study about Naga tattoo, there is not much information. If at all, there are some, then they are copy paste from what has been recorded and written about earlier. There seems to be very less new information coming out. And uh, one of the information that we will constantly come across is how Naga tattoos are associated with headhunting, how Naga tattoos are about warriors, how Naga tattoos are earned, and things like that. But what we don't get to hear or what we don't get to read about is that the Naga tattoos talk a lot more than all of this. Naga tattoo also talks about their spiritual belief, their journey in life. Sometimes tattoos are also done for healing, uh, apart from marking their clan identity and their achievements. But most importantly, one of the most important aspect of Naga tattoo that I really like to emphasize, and something that I really feel strongly about is even before understanding what Naga tattoos are, what those symbols means, it is important that we understand the importance of aesthetics, the aesthetics of the art, the expression, because I feel that the power of aesthetics is often not discussed and not understood. It is one of the most powerful tools, according to me, in the for colonizers. Today when we look at the Naga tattoo or the Naga art, the perspective in which we look at comes from a modern conditioning. The standard of our art, the beauty standard or the visual aesthetics of our art cannot be measured or cannot be understood if we look at it through the lens of Western standard. And so one of my biggest and one of my most important study is understanding what is indigenous aesthetics, what is tribal art, what is the true essence, what does it carry, and how is it different, and what are they trying to say, what are they, and how does it work? Because back in the days, it seemed to work very powerfully. Gradually, today, we have reached a point where not just people from outside Naga community, but even the Naga people see the patterns, see the designs, have ownership and have a lot of pride in inheriting those powerful symbols and markings. And but sometimes, in fact, most of the times, we also don't seem to really understand what it is saying, where it is coming from, and why it is like that. So this is one of my most important study, the study of indigenous aesthetics, tribal art, expression that comes from the land. And what is it, before going to the tattoo in general, something that we can have conversation over later when during the question and answer session is that just like any other places in the world, any other indigenous communities around the world, the aesthetics, the essence, the stories, those patterns, those meanings for the Naga people also came from the immediate natural surrounding. The way the water falls, the birds, the insects, the animals that are around, the flower that blooms in the land, the way the wind moves, the landscape, all of this dictates, it shapes how we express, how we feel, and this is something that is universal around the world, and it is not different for the Naga people. So when we talk about the design patterns, the elements, and when we look at them, if we just appreciate it because of globalization and how people from other parts of the world find it unique and exotifying, and the effort to commercialize. If all these forces, dictates, how we appreciate our culture, it would be very superficial, and that is something that I observe a lot nowadays, not just in the Naga communities, but across the indigenous tribal communities around the world, and especially in India. But to understand what it really is, we need to really go deeper and understand our environment. For example, when we talk about Naga tattoo, it becomes apart from the meanings and what it symbolizes, it becomes important for us to understand the tools, because the tools also dictates how design is created. The technique that the Naga people use to tattoo is called tapping, where you have one stick and thorns attached to it, and the other stick held on the other hand taps it into the skin. We also do poking, and we also do hammering. And these tools are all different, The tools for tapping are different. We make it thorns, and if you look at this, these are some of the plants that I have collected across the Naga regions and brought it to the tattoo village. Look at the tools here. The thorns are woven in a comb shape, sometimes 20, 30 thorns together. And if you look at it, it is not binded in a circular, it is more flat. So when it is flat, designs are going to become linear, right? So this is once we start understanding tools, we also start understanding why our design, why do we speak like this? Because often now when we look at Naga tattoos, it is very difficult for us in the first impression to understand what it is really saying, because the art is abstract. It is not very easy to identify. But if we start going deeper and start understanding the tools and the shape, the stories, and where are those stories coming from, we start understanding why it is marked like this. Why are our art like this? For example, even in the weaving, we use loin loom to weave. It is a basic warp and weft weaving. The designs that we are able to create out of it were pretty much basic, geometrical, and hence our designs, our patterns became geometrical, in nature. So when I was studying the tattoos, collecting the stories and all that it symbolizes and how it makes the people stronger, it became important for me to go deeper and start understanding the environment, the tools, the patterns, and the stories which came from the surrounding. So in the beginning, from 2012, my main focus was recording whatever tattoo pattern that I come across, learning about it, but I did not have the luxury of spending too much time in one place, because traveling to such remote places costs a lot. It's quite expensive, and I tattoo and support my work, so time was a big constraint. The finance was a big constraint. So I would, in the beginning, the fear was that the elders are all passing away, and I must record them fast and quick. So in the beginning years of my research trip, I was just photographing, documenting. But later on, 4 or 5 years down the line, I started taking my next step of trying to identify the plants that I use, the technique, or the way of extracting the pigments, the way the tools are woven, the way how our elders used to tattoo. And that is where so this is a small video of the difficulties that we faced over a decade of travel. It's never easy, even in winter, but during the monsoon, it becomes really, really difficult, landslides and roadblocks and all of it, making our life, our work very difficult. But with the support and help of friends from all these places, they have always come and help us. As you can see, in this particular trip, we were stuck in a landslide. And the reason why we traveled during the monsoon was because the plants that I go in search for needs to be taken back during the monsoon, when which is also the planting season, and so you cannot go look for them. And some of these plants are very seasonal, and so season also dictates, and sometimes we just have to go and do our best. So many times the locals and villagers and elders, they come to help us, like in this one. We travel by foot, by our car. Sometimes we get stuck, we stay, how do I go to the, okay. Yeah, so collecting, identifying the plants, learning about the preparation, making the pigments, learning how to make the tools, and also physically getting tattooed by the last elders who were tattoo artists when they were young. This woman was tattooing me after 40 years, and I've offered my arms in many places wherever I go, because that allows me to see the movement, the flow. Because, as I said earlier, the tools dictates the art and the movement of the body. The way we trace the design, the way we measure, the way we mark it on the body. All of this is difficult to understand theoretically sometimes. So sometimes when I'm lucky, I meet some elders who used to tattoo, and whenever I get that opportunity, I get tattooed from them and learn in person and practically how it used to be done. This was a very important day. This was more than 10 years ago. She is a queen of a Konyak village. My friend Pejin put this day together. She made it possible for her to pick up the tools and tattoo both of us after 60 years of discontinuing. Yeah, the top photo you can see, I'm stretching for her, and the bottom photo you will see me tapping and she's stretching for me. So I was fortunate in this journey over the past 12, 13 years of meeting them to have come across the last elders who could teach me in person, in practice, how it was done. It really, it would have been very difficult otherwise to really understand in theory. And so after learning from her in 2015, I picked up the tool and started tapping for the first time at the Hornbill Festival. So yeah, I started collecting tattoo plants from 2012, and I did not have a place to grow them. But in 2019, my brother, my cousin gave me a piece of land in my ancestral village, and that is where I am building a tattoo village. And that is where I'm growing these plants, and I call it Tattoo Garden. It is the first of its kind in the entire world. I'm bringing in different plants that the Naga people used to use for tattooing, and not just the Nagas, but neighboring tribes like Apatani and others. So here you can see after 22 days of travel, bringing these plants, it's raining and the plants are exhausted because some of these plants have traveled with me for on the road for 22 days, and it had to be planted right away despite the rain. And that's how important working with the season becomes. And all of this makes it very exciting, but also very challenging. Here, this is one part of the tattoo village where I am planting some plants which are naturally found, they naturally grow in an environment where there is plenty of light and sun hitting, you know. Some plants need shades, some plant needs moist soil, you know. So depending on what kind of plant and where we find them, I grow them and try to recreate, try to plant them in more or less a similar kind of environment where they are usually found in the forest. Identifying and collecting these plants have been very difficult because, first of all, there are not many elders are alive who can tell us. And on top of that, these plants, which used to be abundantly around the village, you know, are not there anymore because with change of time and of how we stopped practicing tattooing, these plants became irrelevant in a way. And a lot of these plants have thorns, and they became a hindrance in their agricultural practices. So they started getting rid of it, and to the point where in many instances, in many villages, it became very difficult to find the plants. And these elders are too old to go into the forest. So, you know, there are many struggles in identifying these plants, not just bringing them and growing them. So so in the earlier video, I planted it in a sunny area, and in the previous photo, it was in a shade, in a forest area. The tattoo village is divided into open area, and some parts of the village I kept it as it is, kept the forest because some plants thrive on environment like that. So these plants, many are curious what kind of plants are these, and how many plants, and often the information that we have is about cane and bamboo, the thorn that we get from these plants, but it is not always so. There are more than 20 Naga tribes, and they all use plants that are found in their environment, around their vicinity, and there are different plants from where they extract pigments, the thorns that they use, the fiber to tie the thorns together, the carriers for the pigment, you know. So it is not just a few plants, but there are lots of plants, and it is difficult at this point to even name them because I have not reached that stage. Currently, what I'm doing is bringing in all the different plants in one place, and very soon in the future, I intend to start a scientific study of why these plants were used and how it helps, because there are certain plants from where we extract, where we extract liquids, or where we make paste, or leaves, fruits that are used for healing, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to as my collection of the plants are coming to an end. So far, there are around 30 plants in the tattoo village, in the garden. There are more plants that I need to collect in the future. Here, you can see some of the tattoos. This is the leg of a woman. What I'm trying to show here is that there is another misconception that because of the most popular narrative of how Naga tattoos are about headhunting, warrior, often we forget that more than men, Naga women have tattoos. In fact, in many tribes, men don't even have tattoos, it is the women folks who have tattoos all over their body, on their limbs, on their chest, on their face, on their back, as you can see here, you can see here as well. Look at those intricate designs. This is one of traditional tattoo that I revived. This is a reinterpretation inspired by traditional tattoo. And this kind of tattoos that I share with the rest of the world, I call it Naga tattoo. And Naga tattoo is something that I have created through the study of over a decade about Naga art and design culture. Naga tattoo are coming together of patterns and symbols and stories from different mediums of expression, from folklore, folk tales, and a lot more. So many people have concerns about appropriation, but those people who come to get tattoo from me know that one of my job is to watch out. The last thing that I would do is to give a tattoo to an outsider. In fact, there are tattoos that are very specific to clan, to a tribe, to the person, and those kind of tattoos are totally reserved for the people in the tribe and the individuals. This is a traditional tattoo of tribe. I'm gonna fast forward because we're running out of time. This is also a traditional tattoo that I have revived on women of the tribe. And to end my presentation, this is how the tattoo village looks like from the sky. It's lying amidst the forest between two small little villages. And I think this would be enough to start the conversation. We can take it over, Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mo. Thank you also for sharing those visuals with us. It was quite interesting to see them, see the designs, and and how you have sort of brought in your own style to it with the Neo Naga tattoos now that you do. And it was also interesting that I think for those of you who are wondering what the sound was in the background, Mo has joined us from his own studio, so we could hear like the machines in the background as well. So Mo, we have a few questions already, I think. But before that, I just wanted to, in general, like ask you about what your experiences have been in terms of collaborating with tattoo artists from across the world, since you've been a part of a lot of these larger conferences and academic as well as like design meetups. What have been some of your experiences speaking to them in terms of the current conversations that happen in the field, and do you see any commonalities in the designs and practices in these places, as well as in these cultures?
Yeah, a lot of the artists around the world who are studying and trying to bring back tattoo culture of their own people, from Philippines to Indonesia to Hawaii, in New Zealand, in Alaska. We are all connected. We are a community, and one of the observation is that what we are trying to do is more or less similar to reclaim our uh, aesthetics, our agency over our body, our expression, uh, to change the narrative of our culture, narrative of how this art are perceived. These tattoos have made our people stronger. These tattoos have kept the community together. These tattoos have carried stories. These tattoos have carried messages, lessons, and knowledge passed down from hundreds of years. And these are not just random markings, or these are not just some uh, just some designs that looks good. These are our language, and to and all the indigenous communities around the world who are used to tattoo are slowly reclaiming this, trying to rewrite this narrative, and it is not going to be long when people in India are also going to draw strength from this, and this movement is already started. You will see a lot of young artists over the years. I've been working with young scholars doing their masters, their PhD, writing their papers on tattoos of their region. So it is something that is very common that we will see if we observe what's happening in Taiwan, or what's happening in 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 all the parts of the world. There is an uprising of reclaiming of this art expression, and it is empowering the people, and that is also something that I've been trying to do, not just from tattoos, but also in trying to understand uh, uh, the, the essence of the art that we do in different mediums to express. I one thing that I really advocate, something that I really strongly feel about, is how tribal art, or the things that we make, the things that we create, are just clubbed as art and culture. I really feel that it is really unfair, because when we look around, the tools that we make, the weapons that we make, the things that we make, they're all designed. There are design philosophies. There are deep understanding of the materials and the purpose, and in the way that all of these are made. Designers and artists go to them to learn from them, and when such designers who are trained in schools and universities recreate learning from them, then it becomes design. But if traditional, if men from the villages, if women from the village are creating something, then it is just clubbed as art. And and I think that similar kind of movement are visible all around the world, and especially also in the tattooing community. So there is a lot of similarities, and if you look even more deeper, then we will also see the similarities of the patterns and the stories. And because we all traveled, we all migrated, we all uh, uh, have continuously traveled, and we have carried our knowledge and information. And you will see these patterns that travels, the similarities between the Naga patterns to the Philippines, to the Hawaiian, to the in Taiwan. So my study actually is not just about tattoo or textiles or the carvings. It is also the study of the journey, the identity of the people. So it's yeah. So there's a lot of connection. There's a lot of connection, and this kind of conversation needs a lot more time. And I'm trying to really put it all in. And yeah, I might not do justice, but yes, we are all in touch, and the mission and the work that we are trying to do through the revival of tattoo is to bring back. And that aesthetics, those values, those knowledge to empower the people.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah. While we're on the topic of patterns and design philosophy, I think we have a bunch of questions that are about what these designs represent, and if you could share some of the stories behind some of the patterns.
yeah, so there's something that I often like to share about what patterns are. And because, if you break it down, really down to the beginning point, we will understand that the meanings are given by us, right? Like a triangle may mean something else here, it will mean something else in other part of the world, and it may represent absolutely something else in other part of the world. But the triangle existed, that shape existed even before we call it a triangle, right? So the meaning is given by us, and hence the tattoos or the symbols, the patterns that you see on the Naga tattoos comes from the natural environment, the environment where they live, and so they're borrowed from the wild animals, the birds, the trees, the flowers, the fish, the values that we learn from them, the lessons that they impart to us, This patterns talks about our connection with them, not just on the physical and visible aspect, but beyond, into connection with all of them, beyond the physical and the visible. That's when it becomes spiritual. They started connecting. This man started becoming one with the animal and the plant kingdom, and with the air and everything. So the tattoos, the patterns that we see on Naga tattoos are diverse, but just to answer that question, I can give you one example, of how for us the tiger is a very powerful creature. It is the most dominant, top of the food chain in the forest. It is considered to be the keeper of the forest, right? So the tiger symbolizes strength, power, agility, warrior, all of that stuff. And men have always aspired to be powerful like the tiger back in the days. And it is also a creature that we fear so much, right? So when we talk about all of these physical, qualities, we tend to associate it with tigers, and when uh, that's where the patterns also starts coming from. There are patterns that comes from the tiger, and sometimes when we look at and when we speak like this, we may just people some will just perceive it as some visual imitation, but it is far beyond that. There are symbols that represents the element or the presence of the tiger onto the man, which also allows the man and the tiger to become one, where this is a phenomena that if you try to look up, you will also see, where man and tiger they call it the tiger man, Western, in Western terms, So, when we talk about such deep connection, such deep understanding and oneness, not just in terms of in spiritual way, but also when it starts reflecting and when we start expressing through patterns, so there is visual, there is in different senses, we become one. So some patterns talk about such connection, and then there are others which are more universal, like the hornbill, right? The great hornbill is a very important bird for the Nagas, uh, for all the qualities that and all the lessons that it imparts us about the values of friendship, commitment, loyalty, uh, sacrifices, individual, collective, community, home, So, and then, all right, so yes, we draw those patterns from these birds and their stories through these values, but how is it represented? That's the question that you are asking. That is where it gets interesting. That is where the tools comes into play. That is where uh, the canvas comes into play. They are not drawn like if we draw a hornbill, we draw a hornbill like a bird. Like how we see it. But the Naga art is so abstract that it, in a way, tries to captures the soul, the essence of that bird in a very stylized way. And because it is a language that is so old, today when we look at it, we just cannot understand what's going on. We just see some lines and dots, and but yeah, the tools becomes very important, and that is why all those patterns that we see are so difficult to understand, because the way we express, the way we connect, and then the way we express, they were very different from how we do it in the modern time. That's where the standard of beauty or aesthetics, comes into play, and that's why that is one of the biggest study. I cannot show you which pattern means what right now, but none of the patterns or none of the tattoos that we see are random. They are not. They all have some stories. They all are carrying some knowledge, and they're all doing something to that person. Sometimes they are for protection. Sometimes they also guide the person, into the next life. Things like that. So it goes really deep. But yeah, none of those patterns are just good looking random patterns. No, they all come from the environment where they live, and by putting it on them, they are connecting and they are becoming one with the environment.
I think that also answers another question that someone had asked about whether the designs were meant to be some sort of portal to another realm. We also have another question that is about if there's been any evolution in the designs themselves over the decades, over the centuries.
This is one thing that I strongly feel again. There is a notion that tribal art or a lot of our indigenous expression should remain how it is, should be authentic. Nothing can be changed. It should always be like this. It was always like this. No, it was never always like that. This is a concept that is brought in through the capitalistic mindset, to make it, to give value to it, to exotify it, because we continue to evolve, we travel, we learn, we grow, we transform. We are continuously in a journey to become a better version of ourselves, as an individual, as a community. So the art, our culture, our tradition, our art, our expression must also evolve with time. To think that this art should always remain like this and nothing can be changed, and the moment there's some change, if there's some change that we bring in, it is going to corrupt, and it's going to, no, it doesn't work like that. Our art, our craft, our story have always been evolving, and with time we must take it forward. We must learn. First of all, we must know what it is, where it is coming from, and then we will be in a better position to take it forward. But what's happening right now is because of this mentality of how it should be, we are always talking about protecting, safeguarding. We are not encouraging. We are not encouraging the young people. Many designers are scared. Many artists are scared of using these patterns because often they are penalized. In the name of protecting culture. But uh, but but where is the knowledge? Where is the information? The young people want to recreate, want to innovate, want to take it forward, but they have no access because those people who are trying to stop any kind of progress or any kind of innovation uh, also lack knowledge about that art. It's almost as if we are incapable of creating, innovating. We don't have it. Our ancestors used to have it, and now we are completely. We just we just sell it. We just create it. Recreate it. Not take it forward. So it has, from what I understand, is that it has evolved, right? And that is exactly what I'm trying to do to bridge that gap. Because in the name of promotion, what is happening is there is random recreation, there is random innovation. There are colors that are introduced that absolutely has no connection, to the land, to the place, and such kind of promotion, is very dangerous because in the long run we will forget, and it will not make sense to us because the place where we come from, right? The things that we wear, the way we express must make sense in that environment. We cannot go to America and then come back to the village and want to live like how you live in America. You cannot get a Starbucks there. So we have to keep that intact. We have to understand the root, and that is why when I study about Naga tattoo, I started off with the patterns, the meanings, and then started going back deeper about the plants, and then to a point where it almost became so deep beyond physical and visible, spiritual, different realms of life, and then when you go deep like that, you start understanding why is it like this? Why does it come? Why do they express like this? Why is it on the face? Why can't it be somewhere else? Why do we use this color? Because every color, every shade that we use have some uh, messages, and it has always been through a journey of learning more and making it better. So our ancestors have, from a hunting gathering to agriculture to tools and to weaving, and then suddenly it cannot stop. It must evolve. It must grow. It must become better. And so must art, like tattoos also. It cannot be confined, and like it cannot just be placed in a museum. It should grow. It should fit. It should also fit the modern narrative. It should also be able to uh, express the uniqueness of the people in the modern context. So yes, it's evolving, it is changing, and it should not stop. But it should be a very mindful, a conscious, a responsible, and be sensitive, because when it comes to all these arts and craft, especially in the Naga communities, we are very sensitive about it. We are very emotional about it. So so must be the case for other communities, and whoever pursue or wants to recreate, learn about it, and then take it forward to promote it has to be very careful. It is something that we need to do as as people, take it forward.
Thank you. We are at 8, but we do have a few more questions that maybe we can take a couple more if you're free.
Yes, yes.
So there's one question, is there any specific Naga community that you've worked with, or is there any specific practice of any community that you do?
Not just specific. I'm trying to cover as much as I can. So not really, not specific. It is not one tribe or one village or one community. No, it's an overall. And in fact, it's not just Naga. When I started this journey, I was naive, I was young, and I wanted to study the rest of tattoo culture of across India. Like I got really excited. I wanted to study tattoo practices across the country. And then gradually I started understanding that, this is one of art form, one of our expression, one of the most powerful expression that we go through blood and sweat, to market something that is so deep and beyond this present realm, but you know what? It is also that art form that the people for a long time have looked down upon and have looked at it as less, and communities rather let it go. They just, they want to forget about it, So, so I was very motivated to really study and go and learn everything. And as I go deeper, I started understanding that, in this lifetime, it's already such a lonely journey. There's no support. There's, right now, because of the constant me blabbering about it for the past 12, 13 years in any platform that I can get, I see a lot of changes. Young people in their festivals coming out with the marker, they're slowly, feeling it, And so there is a lot of interest now. But when I started, there was nothing. It was a very lonely journey, and it made me realize that, in this lifetime, if I can do some work for the Naga people, that itself would be a very big deal, So, so my focus is Naga and the neighboring tribes, because you cannot study one tribe and hope to learn and know, because we are all somewhere somehow connected, as much as we don't want to, because when we look for differences, we see differences. When we look for similarities, we see similarities. But the way the world is going, we are looking at how different we are, So the closest neighbors, the immediate, neighbors are also only focusing on the differences. So I am trying to understand the similarities, and then and that's where it becomes impossible to study about one tribe without understanding their neighbors. And then it goes on and goes to Taiwan and to Hawaii and Philippines, and somewhere, it all connects. So not just one specific. It is, I would say, it is a study of what I'm trying to do. Study is a study of humanity, their connection with their environment, their expression, their individuality, their things like that. So I'm not focused on one tribe or one community. It is a study. All the study that I'm trying to do one day will hopefully help bridge the gaps, between places and people and land. I really feel that through art and design, we can change the world. We can also learn so much.
Thanks for that. There's a question about what the tribes themselves perceive about the tattoo tradition and the stories.
About that, I will tell a story, like a real story, which will answer everything. The Apatanis, right, in Arunachal. The women folks have tattoos along the forehead down to the nose. 5 powerful lines on the chin, wear big nose plugs. For a long time, they were made to believe that the tattoos were done to make them look ugly, unattractive, because somebody from outside came and found it very unattractive. And so there were new narratives were created where they say that the Apatani women started tattooing and wearing nose plugs because neighboring tribes used to come down and kidnap them, because the women of the Apatani people were the fairest and the most attractive, And so the neighboring tribes would come down and kidnap them. And to avoid that, they started making tattoo and to appear ugly, And then this narrative went on for decades, decades and decades. And to the point where in the 90s, the student union of Zero Valley banned their elders from going out of the territory because they felt ashamed. They found it so ugly. Because when they go out, people stare at them, right? And so their mothers and sisters and grandparents, grandmothers were not allowed to go out, And when I was studying and traveling and studying Naga tattoo, I just felt that there's something off about this, And that this was 2012, and I also studied about the Apatani and also know that at that time they were still practicing their old belief of Doni Ponyo, of the sun and the moon, about half of them were still not convert, So I had to go there. I had to find out what is it, what is the truth. I went all the ways, spent few days there, sat with the priests, the elders, and I dig, and then I discovered that, this narrative about the tattoo was complete opposite of what it really was for, And then the truth is that, to cut the story short, the truth is that the tattoos were done to look attractive, to attract the best, the most eligible groom, And there are stories about it, how this girl who was the prettiest, the fairest, good with all her household chores, very responsible, the perfect daughter that one could ask. Growing up, all her friends got married and she was left alone. And so she cried, she prayed to their God, asking why. I have been such a good daughter, I have been such a good girl. Why don't I get the groom that I deserve? That's when she was told to do the tattoo and wear the nose plugs. And that will attract the best groom. She did that. And as told, she got married and the news spread like wildfire. And from there on, every girl wanted to, of course, get the best husband. So they started tattooing, It became a symbol of attractiveness, And somehow over time, it became a complete opposite of, and that is the power of aesthetics, colonization through aesthetics, manipulation of aesthetics, making people feel lesser, just because the way you express is different, what you eat is different, what you like is different, which in fact makes us so special, So, yeah, I found that I came back, I gave a press conference. I just wanted to change that narrative because it's so unfortunate, right? The women stopped tattooing. No little girls have those tattoos anymore. More than that, for me, it is not about the tattoo. It is about having the true knowledge, knowing your culture, I'm not here to say that Apatani women should get tattoo or the Naga people should, everybody should get tattoo, it is a choice, But those who want to get tattoo, those who resonate, those who understand, if the tattoo makes them feel a better person, a better member of the community, if it gives them the strength and the power, why not, and so, yeah, so in around across the country, that is the similar narrative, and the similar narrative of how these tattoos are Adivasi, tribal, this, that. And but if you go deeper, you will also find that not just our Adivasi and tribals, most of our communities used to tattoo back in the time, and to end that, to think that those tattoos are just some lines to make them appear unattractive is so like it is our shortcoming, of how we have been conditioned that we are unable to understand our own culture, our own expression, because in this hype and in this, in this narrative, what the people have forgotten is that the Apatani themselves also, what they have forgotten is that the men also have tattoos on their chin. A simple logic, like, why did the men, is it because the woman from other tribe comes and kidnap them? So they have, no, the tattoo that the man has was a mark of an Apatani man. The tattoos that the woman have was the mark, a permanent mark, of belonging to the Apatani tribe, right? And it doesn't end there. Those patterns are just not random lines. They have deep meanings. Those lines that come down from the chin are, with time, as the little girl grows, the tattoo becomes darker and darker. Every important stages of her, transformation as she becomes elder, they retouch it over and over, and then you will, if you ever go that side, you will see the eldest woman with the darkest and the youngest one with the thinnest, right? So those marks that comes down are, I have to tell this, I have not told this since 2013 because I don't want to be the one, I wanted them to, but this is a good time to tell because those lines are taken from the blue pine tree. They are abundant in their region, a tree that symbolizes female, and there are rituals, rituals where only the women folks participate, where they use this plant, This blue pine tree are really, really huge. They grow really huge. And every year, every time they become a bigger tree, the bark cracks. And the bark has a vertical crack to it. So those 5 lines that they have comes from the blue pine tree. It is a symbol of maturing, becoming stronger, more comfortable. So it was a symbol of transformation from a girl child to a womanhood, to a grandparent, So when you look at the tattoo, you can tell like, oh, she is of this age group, she is of this age group, So yeah, so all across the country, it's the similar story where they have been made to feel lesser. Tattoos that used to empower us, that used to make us strong people, unfortunately, has to see this fate today, and that is what I'm trying to bring back. So it is not just the tattoo; it is the story and the things that it carries.